First of all, I find it a bit disingenuous to discuss an interpretation of a script. Because what you have just given us is an interpretation of yourself and others of the script. I would rather discuss the script. Because all those commentaries are tainted with the worldviews of those who made them. And I don't think that they are really accurate in the sense they are doing it. And the development of I've read this script. And I'm happy that you went and read the synopsis. I've read this script. And I'm not able to see all the things that the people are reading into this script. And most important is the fact that the ministry has got professionals who vet these things. We're all outsiders here. This play went through various stages, right from the grassroots to the national level. At the national level, somebody gets picked, and then they want to make a hula balauta out of nothing. This play had nothing subversive. This play is a pure piece of art, and the artist is to hold a mirror to society. So if society sees itself in an image whereby it is a wax and oil image, you don't clamp down on the artist or on the presenters of the play. So from where I sit, I think we are not being fair to the script, and I'm not able to discuss an interpretation of the script by fellows whose capacity to interpret scripts has not been validated by legitimate authorities. People are reading politics where there should be no politics. Kids are simply being creative. And to show that these kids were very mature, the fact that they sang the national anthem and left the stage, for me, nothing can beat that. There was no subversion, they were not violent, they were not whatever. In fact, they are very developed. And so, as they say, give a dog a bad name and hang it. That's what's going on here. They're trying to give this script a bad name and hang it, but there's absolutely nothing subversive in this script. There's no call to war, there's no call to arms, there's no call to anything. It's just an interrogation of relationships and political structures and systems and what have you. Just the way these people have done, just the way the synopsis says. So I'm really at a loss why there was this overreach. This man, Malala, has done many plays before. He's done plays. Even last year, I think he participated. He plays in that space of the drama festival. I personally don't play in that space. But the right to tools of exposition, we are not going to have an administrator say these are the tools of exposition that are allowed, so and so, or so and so. No. The Constitution is very clear. Unless you are insulting somebody or doing something of that nature, I don't think there is any basis for saying that you will not use this tool of exposition, you will not express yourself this way, you will not do something like that. I don't think that's how we do it. Another thing is that we come from a trickster tradition. Africa is heavily a trickster tradition. We speak in parables. We dance around obstacles. We don't control. We don't hit obstacles in our narratives. So I don't understand what exactly the hula baloo was all about, other than if it is politics, then it must be politics of people who were arguing against the playwright and not the play. People had an issue with the playwright, and so we have got an argument about the hominem situation, where they are hitting just as you are seeing here, the names of Mheshimiwa Rigiji and others being brought in where they are totally irrelevant. So that could be what have happened. What could have happened in the situation whereby maybe because it was Malala who authored the play, then maybe somebody thought they would get the better of him. But I think the whole thing boomeranged, and now Malala got the better of everybody because he's now a national hero, so to speak. And I think the state should just focus on what is important and stop any other thing that is trying to deal with creativity and what have you. We don't want to go to a situation whereby there should be there's a committee to stamp an imprimatur on works of art. If we want an imprimatur commission, then set up an imprimatur commission. Not some random police officer, some random government official coming up and saying this play will not be filmed or will not be put on show when it has been approved by the same ministry officials who are trained, who know what to look for in a play, who have said this play is good for kids and cleared it right from the grassroots to the national level. Let us not have these random officials coming in. Are they more qualified than the teachers who handle these scripts? And what was their training? If these teachers were qualified to do the drama, those are the people with the qualification. Those are the people who are authorized to deal with these scripts. And some of us will just be becoming busybodies and idle interlopers if we begin contributing to this construction, because we don't know what a school script should look like. There are people who know what it should look like. There are curriculum, people have been developed in curriculum, who have been trained in curriculum. These are trained professionals who are doing their work. So who is this state official who comes in and hijacks the process and thinks that he has got the capacity to declare an imprimatur on this stuff, whether it passes the test or not? I don't think that's how things work. It cannot be on the whims of an individual. Let us let systems work. If there's a system on the ground for rating plays and looking at artistic content and whatever, we let them do their work. Let the politicians and other fellows keep off. Like the Minister for Interior, what was he doing bellowing around like a constipated he-goat? What was he doing?
Point of information, Deba.
Yeah, let him finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, I must.
Huh?
No,
It's very insulting for some of us who have written books.
You can't call my friend C.S. Morcom and Igot Banokia. No.
Like a constipated he-goat. I didn't call him a he-goat. I said
you cannot.
Point of information, Deba. Point of information.
Let this kind of nonsense
gentlemen,
preside over this republic. Let him deal with the interior. Has got nothing to do with education. And he's not an expert. He's not an expert on theater. He's not an expert on playwriting. He's an expert on interpreting text. His expertise is elsewhere.
Thank you, Kia.
So we're not going to let these insults continue, and then we entertain them.
All right,
like he got eaten pepper.
No. You must be
around.
You must the statement. Uncontrollably wrong.
Okay,
just not wrong. You're read the text. From what you are saying, you have not read the text. That's why you're arguing the law. You're not arguing the art.
Okay, fine.
The question of law. The question of creative art.
All right, okay.
Thank you. What you know about creative art can fit well on the back of a postage stamp and big print.
Right. Okay. Out of deference, we've heard you, and I would that we don't also call names. We have the CS who is not here to defend himself, so we don't want to have a platform where we're bashing, a CS. He has no mic to defend himself. I think that would be very undiplomatic of us to do that.
Okay, he's out of order.
Okay, point of order, please. I have to moderate.
It's okay. Order.
Okay, please. Yeah, please. So that I am moderating, please. Before you unmute yourself, I have to ask you to actually pick up the mic. Okay, thank you for your sentiment. Just hang on so that we can get different perspective. I acknowledge you, Harman Manyora. Professor Mashari, you're still amazingly patient here, and Martin Olo. I'd seen also Dan Mazo. You had requested for the mic. I gave you the mic. I don't know where you're lost in the shuffle again. Honorable Kaluma as well. You need to speak on this because you've been very vocal on social media as well. Even you posted one of the letters that to show cause that was given to the teacher. So we want to interrogate this matter briefly.
Point of information, Deba.
Okay.
Thank you, Deba.
Okay, just a moment. Hang on. Honorable Session, would you kindly just allow me to yield the floor to Dengo to give introductory remarks? Then I give it to you, please.
Thank you, Deba.
No, please give me first.
And
you asked me to come in. I've come in, and I thought.
Thank you. I will give
Yes.
you, just hang on. I'll give you the mic, Honorable Sossion. Can Degwa and Jiro also just offer his sentiments? Then we get back to you.
Thank you very much, Dubai. I suggest that I be heard in silence so that we can have a constructive debate. We are having a very, very serious debate where our constitution is at crossroads. And I want to begin by saying and quoting what Sankara said when he was addressing the 39th session of the United Nations General Assembly on the 4th of October, 1984. The speech that he gave was titled, "Freedom Must Be Conquered." It's on that basis, therefore, that I make my submissions, that freedom must be conquered. And then what is freedom? If I was to perhaps expound on my understanding of what amounts to freedom. What I think amounts to freedom has actually been appreciated by our Constitution. And to be so much categorical, I am speaking about Article 33 of the Constitution, which has created the freedom of artistic creativity. Artistic creativity and the creation of this freedom has not given the scope or the manner in which this freedom must be expressed. And therefore, I beg to differ with the senior counsel, Professor Ojienda, when he misinterprets Section 27 of the Education Act to say that the minister or the state or any other person who feels displeased or unpleased with the artistic expression of our children can purport to limit that right, that freedom. It is apologetic for Professor to say that the minister whom he praises as his friend, our learned friend, Mr. Ogamba, can then say that Section 27 of the Education Act can have the capacity of limiting the freedoms enshrined under Article 33, the freedom of artistic creativity. The freedom of artistic creativity can exist in different scenarios and different times in a state. It can exist when the people under Article 1 are all in support of the regime of the time. It can also equally exist when the people, and therefore, the limitation of that right cannot be perpetuated by the government so that they can have the moment of silencing the ability of the people to express themselves. When the Butere students spoke, they were speaking for and on behalf of the people. They were expressing the general feeling and the public. What the Butere girls were presenting is exactly what is existing in the current political, social, and economic setup. It was a pure expression of where the government of the day has driven us to, or where it has invited us to. And perhaps as I sum up, allow me to mention something very critical here, which I think the good Professor Ojienda will agree with me, that where Kenya finds itself, we find ourselves where Aristotle, where Socrates,
Right. You appear to have gone off the grid, Ntegonjiru. Where Aristotle, where Socrates. Can you hear?
I think he was going to cite my name.
Dibal, Dibal, I raised a point of order.
All right.
I think a point of order and a point of information takes precedence.
Okay, please. We'll get back to Degwa. I think he's gone off the grid as well. So, right, continue, Wilson Sosio.
Yeah, Dibal, this show is wonderful if we are going to package it in an orderly, professional, and truthful manner. It should not be a show where we scandalize other people who are not even present, where we deface government with lies. That is not right. And if I chime to this particular issue and inform this forum with respect to Kenya National Drama festivals, which I have been a participant for many years in my other life as a teacher, both as a scriptwriter, director, and in the management, and also as an adjudicator. What happened with Butere girls is that nobody in government directed Butere girls to stop performing. Nobody. We don't have it on record. The evidence we have is that the board of management decided to withdraw the production. That is one. That is one fact. And I want any legal mind and anybody who has contrary information.
Was it under duress?
No, just allow me to inform this forum. That is one. Two, if we go down to the law, the teaching law, which is an implementation of the Constitution of Kenya, TSC Article 23, it prohibits any person who is not a teacher from participating in teaching activities, whether classroom teaching, training, coaching of students, inside and outside class activities. And coaching of students in sports, games, and art is the most emotional level of learning. In the three domains of learning in psychology, psychomotor, cognitive, and affective, affective is where the character of the teacher, the personality, affects the character of the learner. And it goes on in drama. There was good reason when we drafted TSC Act in 2012 and placed Article 23.2 to exclude anybody who is not a teacher from participating in teaching activities. So that then in this particular case of Butere girls, let us look at the law. What does the law say? Is Malala a teacher? He's not a teacher. Did he script and direct Butere girls? Yes, he did. And is that a breach of the law? Yes, it is a breach of the law. And that is what the school realized at that level. And Malala, being who he is, together with others, went and procured a court order to force the school to participate. And the rest is the drama that we watch. For me, I want to state what the law says. That is Article 23 of TSC Act. And that is not negotiable. The law is not negotiable whatsoever. So we don't expect anybody who is not a teacher to participate in teaching anywhere in Kenya. Just like we don't expect anybody who is not a lawyer to go and practice law in the court. We don't expect anybody who is not a doctor or trained in the medical world to do medicine. This is where Butere Girls Board of Management were trying to seek to correct after making a mistake of handing over the school to a non-teacher. And that non-teacher is one Cleophas Malala. And we saw the drama he was doing in the village, National Drama Festival village, where the girls are sleeping at Kiroban. And what I know about rules managing drama at the National Drama Festival villages is that no male is allowed to get into the villages where girls are sleeping whatsoever. And male teachers know that as much. If you want to train your students, you train them elsewhere or outside if you are a male teacher. What was Malala going to do at night? Else are sleeping and where everyone else is prohibited. Number one, is not a teacher. Number two, he doesn't have special permission to do that. That is why the security forces executed what they knew best by restraining Malala and if need be even doing whatever they did. Maybe they were fair enough not to prefer a charge sheet. Number two, if Malala is not a teacher, what business was he doing at Butere Girls? And the girls, while on stage, when they refused to perform and they were allowed to perform at exactly 8 a.m. as the first item on stage, as is always scheduled. Any team that participates in the national festivals, once you are scheduled to perform on a given time, you should actually move on stage and perform. But you see what the girls told the world? That number one, they're not performing because their director is not around. And who is the director? Cleophas Malala, who is not a teacher. So basically, we are staring at an education sector where non-practitioners, non-certified teachers are illegally engaged in active teaching activities. And what Malala was doing is weaponizing and misusing the children of Butere girls to expand his political interest, and therefore superimposing and transferring the stage of politics that is doing out here.
So the ball, it's okay for Sosion to talk about Malala when he's not on this forum. Is that the case? If the rules apply for Murkomen,
no, we are discussing Malala. We are discussing Malala production. Let us be factual here. We have to discuss him. Malala can script as many plays as possible for as many schools. Anybody can script a play for schools. You can script anybody, but you cannot walk in and direct that play if you are not a certified trained teacher. Period. For once and for all, let us rid of unwanted individuals within the teaching service. Let all school activities be conducted in accordance with the law. And there is a circular by Teacher Service Commission. Dibal, there is a circular by Teacher Service Commission giving total clarity on how this policy should be implemented.
Okay.
If you read section 23 alongside the definition of teaching service,
Okia Umtata, you are not a teacher and we are giving you facts about what the law says. And if you're a lawmaker, can we for once agree we must follow the law? We must follow the law.
People are stopped from engaging in the teaching service, not engaging in a.
Okay, I'm muted. Can I give? Yeah, Martin. Okay, you have the floor.
If you want to know, co-curricular activities is a central part of teaching.
But look at what the teaching service is.
Okay, we've got to the point. Okay,
by the way, we are not in a court of law to engage in interpretation. The law is straight and clear.
Can we have
there are circulars to that. There are rules in the schools and drama festivals. Rules are clear.
Martin, just a moment.
You can be called a teacher, not about teaching.
Okay, you guys are talking your
order.
Just a moment. All right.
Order.
Okay, just a moment.
Order.
Okay, I'm muting you. Okay. All right. Let's have some decorum, guys, please. And now we are all mature, and I think it is quite reductive of us to cross-talk each other, because now we can't get any sense of what you're saying. Kindly, let us just go sequentially, right? Okia, we'll give you time. We've not heard from Haman. I know also, Martin Olo, you're supposed to be appearing on a TV show as well. I'll give you time to just respond to this as well. And Honorable Professor Mashario here, hanging on patiently. We'll get to hear your voice just momentarily. Guys, let's just observe some sobriety so that we can go sequentially. Let's not talk each other down, kindly. I yield the floor to you, Martin Olo, briefly.
Okay, thank you very much, Dibal. Just to answer both Professor Genda and Honorable Sosion. When you look at the hierarchy of laws, and first of all, a section of the TSC Act or the Education Act is a section, is not an article. Articles are on the Constitution. No statutory provision can contradict the Constitution. That is a hierarchy issue. Now, what he's talking about, all of it may be true, but to what extent are those legal provisions constitutional? That is the argument. To say that no artist, no playwright, no any other non-teacher can direct a drama is an issue that it can be elevated to a constitutional issue, and it will be found to be an unconstitutional provision of the law. So that is something we need to accept. What we are saying here is not about Malala, and we don't want to talk about Malala here. We are asking, what was the issue about this play? Did it deserve the kind of hula baloo and the kind of hype that we have given it? Absolutely not. Was it a commentary on a Kenyan or a political or a kind of contemporary, current issue? Absolutely, yes. Are playwrights at liberty to express themselves? Yes. The Constitution allows creative art, creativity to come through. All we are saying is that all we witnessed in Nakuru and perhaps involving children was unnecessary, because we are dealing with a constitutional issue here. Our students, our children, our adults, are all of us allowed to freedom of expression? Yes, we are. Can we begin to argue about Section D's or Basic Education Act or the involvement of BOM? Absolutely not, when we raise the issues at a constitutional level. We are dealing with our students' rights being violated, our children's rights being violated. That's what we are dealing with. Now, whether it's an administrative intervention by a CS, Interior, or a CS, a Ministry of Education, the question is, are those administrative actions within the constitutional threshold? We are saying that's not what we saw. What we are seeing is a level of intolerance, a level of a kind of an attempt to suppress freedom of expression that is totally unnecessary. So we are coming to a point where we are saying, as a country, what we saw from Nakuru was totally unnecessary. And I'm not talking about individuals.
Point
We are
of order,
simply saying
Debal.
there is a freedom of expression, and this freedom
Debal,
has
point
to
of
be
order.
seen in absolute terms. And we cannot use a statute to begin to talk about limitations of a constitutional order. Over.
Point
Right,
of
thank
order,
you.
Debal.
No,
On the constitutional matter raised.
Sosion, we need to give other panelists also
No.
some time.
I'm saying point of order on the constitutional matter raised. TSC Act 2012 is flowing from the Constitution of Kenya as an implementation of the Constitution of Kenya. So we cannot tell the world today that the provisions of TSC Act, part of it is unconstitutional, and therefore we cannot comply with. And this was approved by the entire process of Kenya Law Reform Commission and Constitution Implementation
That's
Commission.
not how you argue
And
about
when
it.
you look at Article
That's not how you
23, no, allow me.
I know.
Article 23 of the Constitution, which talks about the freedom of expression and art and the rest, it also comes out very clearly on use of propaganda and political and untenable material on students. It is very clear. It is in the Constitution. So let us not cherry pick. Let us be honest. Because by the time this was casted in the TSC Act, all these processes were considered. And by the time Teacher Service Commission issued an implementation circular of that clause, a circular that is in force and nobody has challenged it. And as long as it is not challenged, then it remains in place. Are we trying to say we...
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Now we are silent. We are the two of us. We can proceed. I think I can chair.
Excuse me, Senator Ojenda. Just a moment. I'll give the mic to you, Haman Manyora, please. I want to invite Daniel Dan Mazo, right, to just say something as well. We had raised the question of the Children's Act. Were there any violation of the Children's Act? I just read it explicitly to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Allow me to say something, Dibal.
No.
Just a point.
No, yeah. Okay, Dan Mazo. Just let Daniel. Dan Mazo. Yes, please. Continue.
First of all, with a lot of respect to my friend Sosioni, he's just misinterpreting the law and misleading the debate. By the time everybody went to court and there was a court order, the judge satisfied himself with all these arguments we have done this evening and found that the play was to go on. So all those arguments of Sosioni don't hold at all. They have already been ruled by the judge that they were not proper. And I think the constitution was in breach. And the fact that the court gave a court order, that the government was to obey the court order and facilitate Butere girls to perform, the play. But you saw now what happened. The Minister of Interior came in, police, arrests, chaos, and the government, making sure that it oppresses everybody around it. It oppresses the education system. It forced the ministers to issue statements they did not believe in. It forced the children out of the play, and the whole thing ended up chaotic. And that's the government we have today, a chaotic government, which must force its way, even when the best thing anybody would have done is to go to the Court of Appeal and the judge challenge the High Court judge and to get further orders stopping Butere from performing. And that the government didn't do that. It chose to use the fist, to use force, to use unconstitutional means, to damage vehicles, and it went on even to use live bullets. It went on even the next day, damaging Malala's car, destroying, and nobody has been charged with that. So I think this impunity of government should stop. There was nothing wrong with the creativity. Everything, all this play had been approved by the same system all the way till somebody somewhere in government decided it cannot happen and they must use force. So I think creativity must be allowed. This is a nice play, as the Senator Obitata said, nothing controversial. And after all, if plays were not to be creative, then nobody would watch them. So you needed to be sensational, you needed to be current. And by the way, for information, Malala is a teacher by training, and I don't think he has ever been struck out of teacher service commission. He can still go back and teach. It's not that he went to do better and bigger jobs with the permission of TSC, and he's still a teacher by training and by registration.
What is the TSC number?
Yes,
you have his TSC number as a lawyer, because we cannot lie to the country. If man, when you tell us,
point of order,
you are an engineer and you're not an engineer, then you are lying to the country. We have to be factual, Dibal. Dibal, we cannot have a forum where we lie to the country. Malala is not a teacher and he has no TSC number. That's a fact.
Can he just finish his point, please?
So I just say that there's no need for us to each other here. I know many students who have been to the media house to say that Malala was their teacher. When he was a teacher, he used to bring the first course and he was always even before he became a senator. So that's a teacher. A teacher should not be denied to teach, and he has a TSC number. And therefore, we have to follow the law. It's a country. There's no need to go around it. The law right now is that the court interpreted all these arguments and say that Butere girls should proceed. No one has overturned that judgment, and I believe in all fairness, they should be given that opportunity to do so. Finally, they did a very honorable thing. They sang the national anthem, and they left. They have already performed this drama out. It has already leaked. Every Kenyan can watch it. Every Kenyan has it. The script is leaked. So there's nothing the government has done other than to mistreat Kenyans and show that it has become an oppressive government. And this is where we need to change and bring a government of the people, by the people, a government which loves the people, but not a government which suppresses the people. I thank you, Diba.
All right, thank you. Honorable Kaluma, Peter Kaluma, could you kindly speak? Also, you've been very vocal on social media regarding this. You have a rejoinder for all of us, or what are your sentiments? Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Ndegwa, I'll come to you much later. And Professor Machado, thank you for hanging on.
Dibal, thank you for giving me the chance to add my voice to the ongoing discussion.
Yes, first of all, maybe to just begin, because I saw that letter and I'm asking you, do you think it was fair for the principal to ask the teacher a show cause letter, right? Because you say the principal is totally exonerated. Why is she abrogating this particular, issue that is very heavy to the teacher concerned? Was the script changed midway to breathe also political undertones? Was there anything like that? Just give your sentiments.
Yeah, thank you, Dibal. Dibal, let me first address this matter from the angle of law. The right to basic education is a constitutional provision, and the rights to children, as a whole article of the Constitution, is Article 53 dealing with it. And the silver lining in Article 53 is that in any matter concerning children, the best interest of the child will be the paramount consideration. Martin is saying that because the Constitution has various fundamental freedoms and rights in the Bill of Rights, there is no way a legislation can seek to limit it or limit those rights. Let me start by clarifying, and I believe all lawyers of a political standing in this debate will agree with me, that while the Bill of Rights prescribe all rights, including the right to, expressions, whether creative or otherwise, all those rights can be limited, except 3 rights, which are specified in Article 25 of the Constitution. The whole of Article 24 is about limitation of human rights and fundamental freedoms. And Article 25 talks about only 3 rights which are incapable of limitation. And these are the right to fair hearing, freedom from torture, forced labor, and slavery. Full stop. All other human rights and fundamental freedoms, including the right to life, can be limited. And the panelists will agree. That is why while the right to life is prescribed in Article 26 of the Constitution, it can be limited, and so we can have you being sentenced to death, despite the Constitution prescribing it. The point I'm making against Martin is that once a Constitution prescribes rights and fundamental freedoms, it is by legislation, if you look at Article 24 of the Constitution, that the rights are then limited. And so when you look at Section 23 of the Basic Education Act, the manner in which drama festivals as part of school programs should be undertaken is prescribed. There is a point Honorable Sosion is making there, which we should listen to. And the point is that, number one, we have these drama programs for the education of our children. And we may take it lightly, but they are part of the education program. That's why we have mainstream curriculum, and then we have extra curriculum activities. Drama are part of literature. Now, under Section 23, you read through the whole of it, the message it sends to you is that, Dibal, the idea is to develop creativity and deep understanding of literature among students. And remember, these students are still children. Most of them are children. They are not yet over 18. Ideally, we should be allowing students to compete on their creativity. We should be allowing the literature teachers, the drama teachers in the various schools to be guiding the students, but just programming them so that we see how much they understand in terms of what they are doing. From the discussion you have there, Dibal, coming to your question, number one, it is agreed that the content of the presentation by our dear school, Butere girls, kept changing. And by the way, it changes for usually all the plays because they take on board the recommendations of adjudicators at each stage. So it kept changing. And so you hear the principal saying, this is not the script that I was given, and this is not the script we started with. How did it change to a level where now, against the provisions of Section 23, a stranger under that provision, whether you call him a playwright or what, so long as he's not a qualified teacher in the context of that law, is essentially a stranger, is a stranger to the process. How did you allow the stranger to involve directly on a program that should be for students and their teacher? Look at it additionally, where you see Malala is unfortunate, where you see the playwright, I don't want to mention the names, is insisting on meeting students, and the students are also saying they'll not play until they have the playwright to direct them on what to do, is where under Section 23 of the Education Act, we call the village. You know, when you talk of village, Dibal, to people who are not, have not read the Education Act, they think it is somewhere they merely stay. But the village is where the students then reside. And let me tell you, even if you are a male teacher from Butere girls, you would not be allowed to enter the village because that is where the girls, sleep. And that is why when you go for drama festivals, ideally the ball, the students must be accompanied by a person of their gender, strictly. So a female teacher can enter there, but not a male. Now, for this case, the playwright is male. The playwright has also gone beyond the fact of just, writing something from which, the students can then build their ideas and portray a drama to a level where he's saying against the act which is governing education, he has to be allowed into the village.
Thank you.
You saw
Thank you.
that.
You're winding up. Yeah. Yes.
Dibal,
Yes.
then you saw how the playwright approached the village. From the very beginning of it, you see him. I don't know how it happened. I want to believe it is a mere coincidence. The media is already there, broadcasting how it's being blocked, not about the creativity of the students. And then when you go to the stage and time is given to the students are saying, no, we will not go there without having been, properly guided by the playwright. In normal situations, Dibal, the security apparatus of the state, particularly the National Police Service, if you look at the chapter dealing with the National Police Service, their first duty is to keep
I hope
law,
I'll be able to have an opportunity to respond.
To keep law and order. What did you want the police to do where a male person, not a teacher, number one is he's not a teacher, number two is a male person, is going to the private area of female students? And remember, I mentioned Article 53. Children are very gullible, and the Constitution requires the state, the parents, and everybody to give the best care and protection to children. Let me end by putting a caution. I don't want to talk politics because you see the forum is going political already, to make it clear that indeed the intervention that was made possibly could be right. But I wanted to remind the panelists that in the United States, as in Europe, radicalization and indoctrination of children started, and it was allowed to go to the extent where you cannot, deny your child anything or do anything. What did we have?
Thank you.
Look at what happened.
Thank you.
Look at what happened in the United States just before the elections, where students were banning all big universities, all institutions, and not even the police can stop them.
May
By
I
saying the idea of an education program is for education of children. We should not allow any room for indoctrination or radicalization of the children. And let us allow the students to complete.
Thank you.
If you allow this, nothing will stop me from doing a play for
Allow me.
Homa Bay High School, in which case I will be competing with another playwright, not the students. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kalima. Hang on. We need to get responses as well. I'll be remiss if I don't give also just the voice of reason, not from the academia, Aman Manyora and Professor Mashari as well. We want to just hear from you. Just you've had this debate, you've had the altercations, the firing back and forth as well. Let's hear from you. Aman Manyora.
Dibala, I have no problem with that one, but if you give me a minute, I will respond to Honorable.
There is so much noise.
Okay.
There's so much noise.
Aman Martin, I'll give you. Okay, Manyora.
There's so much noise.
Okay, continue.
Earlier on the bar, I rose on a point of order, but I did not catch the speaker's eye. Now that I have the mic, let me first talk about the point of order, then I can make my contribution. The bar, we all know that this space we call spaces is not like the usual TV discussions we normally have with my colleagues on this panel. There you are about 3, 4, maximum 5 people. You can interject, you can stop somebody, you can butt in. But with spaces, with all maximum respect to all the people present here, and the bar, that is your responsibility and Benjindolo. You cannot conduct spaces for the sake of all of us who are here this evening if people keep rising on points of order and butting in. So the first housekeeping rule, which we must implement now or we stop, like someone said, is there should be no points of order. You cannot have points of order on spaces. And number 2, people should not interject. Hear somebody in silence, the way Ndegwanjiru wanted to be heard in silence. Raise your hand. If you must raise your hand, you'll be given a chance. Rebut after the speaker has stopped. Otherwise, we can't communicate. It's the nature of spaces that it can't work that way. So let's agree, all of us, no points of order. And number 2, let us not interject. Let us not butt in. Otherwise, many people run away from these wonderful spaces. Now to my contribution. The bar, we've done 1.5 hours plus. And basically, I am very sure many of our listeners are very disappointed. Why? The issue of Butere girls, let's call it the Butere girls saga, is not a legal issue. So look at how much time we have wasted. This is not a legal issue. You can put this to the test, the lawyers on this forum. A matter is a legal matter if you can prosecute it in court. Is this anything you can take in court? You can't. Where will you start? This is not a legal issue. And this forum cannot be turned into a courtroom forum or a constitutional argument forum. It's not a legal issue. It's not a constitutional issue. This is a political issue. And my 2 cents contribution is that we find ourselves where we are today because of the problem in this country. The problem in this country can actually be reduced into 2, if you wish. One is that we are a country badly, deeply divided. This is beyond the normal divisions you would find between the Conservatives and the Labour people in the UK, beyond the Republicans and Democrats in the US. This is bad division for any country. Number 2, almost similar to number 1, is a question of, do we have people who love this country? Is patriotism anything flowing around us? The answer is certainly no. So this is the challenge we find ourselves in this country. Let me demonstrate this. Government, for example, has the resources to sponsor, say, 10 plays across the country, and they would win. Okay? And those plays will be singing praises of government. And we have heard many of those praises before. Won't people from the other side be up in arms with the government? For misusing children. That shows the sort of division I'm talking about. This saga is not about the law. This saga is not even about education. Look at the people at the center of the suppression and of the oppression of the girls. Those are not educationists. They are not education, certainly. They are just busybodies with the titles, ministers, and what have you. They are not educationists. This is not even about literature. Nobody's canvassing literary issues here. Because if we were to go in that direction, then surely, like somebody has said here, what is offensive in that play? What are the things governments look for? Has there been, like somebody argued, call to violence? Has somebody suggested we go and ban State House, for example, in the play? The things you'll flag out from a literary point of view to say this is a bad play are not there. So let's conclude that this is a fundamental political problem in this country. And I just want to end by saying, those on this forum and the other forums I'm in on WhatsApp and what have you, and the people we meet as we take coffee, who are trying to defend, not even to explain, to defend what happened, should stop. They are embarrassing themselves. There's nothing to defend here. Absolutely nothing. You come out looking bad. Because we make this country come out looking so ugly to the world, to the discerning mind. I mean, there is nothing to defend or to protect here. It was a bad thing, executed badly, and portraying the country as a country of extreme intolerance. We can't have this. I urge finally, my friends, on this forum and elsewhere, and those who are here, advise others who are not listening today to cease forthwith from defending something that has brought national shame to the whole country. Thank you, Deba.
Thank you, Manyora there. Martin Olo, you wanted to say something briefly?
Yes, thank you.
Then okay, Mtata will follow.
First is to actually not agree with Herman Manyora that this is a political issue. This is a legal constitutional issue. The rights of children are being violated. The rights of Kenyans are being violated. The right to information, the right to freedom of expression. So this is a squarely a constitutional issue. Do political issues reflect a constitutional issue? Absolutely, yes. Do legal issues manifest themselves to constitutional issues and therefore political issues? Absolutely, yes. So there's no straight line you can draw. Now back to my friend Peter Kaluma. Mheshimiwa, the learned counsel, he's been a vocal politician on matters of constitutional law and matters of legal. He has decided to sacrifice them to political expediency, and that's fine. All we are saying is that when you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, the freedom of expression is such that if you are going to curtail it, you have to lay the grounds. Honorable Maanzo says that when the court listened to the issues and the court said, proceed, let the drama proceed. Now, these arguments about a man trying to access a girl's village is so banal. It's missing the issue. The issue is, would he have gone there under security? Yes, absolutely. The issue of receiving advice from any quarter on matters of drama, these are things that will happen. Can a coach of a team receive an advice from wherever? That happens. Can a lawyer who is going to appear in court receive advice from another senior counsel? It happens. So there are issues here that we should not even be splitting hairs on. What our colleagues in the political field and those who are now defending the system are doing is to try and constrict the space for freedom, constrict the space for democracy. And I want to tell both Honorable Kaluma and Professor Jenda that we have been around this country long enough to know that when 5 years come, you will be on this side arguing for freedom of expression. It's James Orengo who said the systems eat their own supporters. So please, let's not be excited about anything, especially where constitutional rights are being violated, freedoms are being curtailed, and people are being silenced on matters that are national. So my view is there is absolutely no reason for us even to be having this kind of a conversation, because the children's rights were violated. Don't tell me the Children Act says that they cannot be indoctrinated. That's a red herring. The point is, do children have rights? They do. Can they express themselves? They do. Can they grow into adults that have their own opinions? They will. But for now, what we are saying is that what we saw, the tear gassing of children, the constricting of children, is actually going to radicalize them more than this play would radicalize them. I rest my case, Debal. And if you don't hear from me, just know that I've disappeared to other things. Over.
Thank you. You had indicated that you'll disappear at some point. Thank you for your sentiments. We want also to just wrap up on this topic. I'll be remiss if we don't hear also from Okio Matata, just briefly to respond to this. Then Degwa Njiru, I'm going to come to you. And then Senator Ojenda, we wind up on it. And Daniel, then we go to the issue of IBC. Very important, so that we are not never gazing on just one topic as it is right now, looking at this particular play. So we can also dedicate time, because that is very important as well. Let me just hear from you, Okio Matata. You want to respond to some of the sentiments that are being said here on the floor?
Yes, I would like to respond to my friend Sosion and just correct the misleading quotations he's giving people here who may not have a copy of the law. He referred to Article 23 of the Constitution as a guaranteeing whatever, does not, to deal with the powers of the court. Then when you go back to Section 23, where he says that it outlaws people are not teachers from accessing schools, it does not. The section defines who is a teacher. And the teaching service is defined as a collective of all individuals registered by the Commission and engaged in the teaching profession. Does not say anything about accessing schools or not. It just defines who is a teacher and who can call himself a teacher, basically. So to say that persons who are not teachers are not allowed, that there's a law barring people who are not teachers to go and offer co-curricular activities is not correct. Because that way the schools will become silos, which will not be possible to develop the kids the way they need to be developed. You even see people sending kids to parents back. CBC right now is engaging parents. The kids go back home, and as opposed to teachers, the parents are supposed to participate in that. So in their education, so you cannot come up with a blanket position and say that people who are not teachers cannot participate in teaching. That's all I wanted to correct. And number two, I just want to say that I want to agree with those who have spoken against what happened to Butere girls. And this is not the first time, because in 2013 I had to go to court and I was able to get these girls to perform a play again by the same Mr. Malala. It was called Shackles of Doom. A play that again an overzealous state actors had ganged up against for no reason. When I dragged them to court, they could not explain anything that what they were doing. They were just throwing their weight around and thought that by doing that they'd be pleasing the powers that be. And in this particular case, it's the same thing, because I've read that play and there's nothing in it that can amount to sedition or anything that's not patriotic, that can be said you are overthrowing a government or doing something like that. There was nothing. They just satire. They just pure entertainment. And so I don't see why whoever took the action did it, other than just maybe to try and test whether they have got power to harass others or not. And even that they failed, because now the person whom they purported to harass is the one harassing them by doing nothing. So I really believe that the Butere girls have been abused. Their rights have been violated. And I'm saying I want to speak as the chair of the PEN International Writers in Prison Committee, where freedom of expression cannot be arbitrarily contained. Yes, the Constitution allows people to restrict, you can limit the enjoyment of rights, but it has to be by a clear law that specifies why it's limiting those enjoyments. As regards freedom of expression, there's nothing in law that allows for what the treatment that the Butere girls went through. And assuming that was the case, is that how you implement the law? Were there no better ways even to recall the girls from that place? Did they have to deploy riot police? Did they have to do that? They didn't have to traumatize little kids with tear gas and stuff in circumstances where even the High Court has banned the use of tear gas against innocent people. So I don't see really that there can be any justification of this. And let us not try to justify something that's totally wrong, unacceptable, cannot be defended by any means. Even if you put perfume on it, it still smells bad. And those responsible for the country should realize that if there is a problem, you're assuming there was a problem with the play, and the play involved the enjoyment of rights, the right thing would have been to approach a court of law, get orders restricting the people from performing that. It's a question of enjoying rights. So we cannot just say that administrators can just be overzealous and say that they are going to be the ones who determine what is lawful and what is not lawful. It has to be clearly spelled in the law. That's what Article 24 of the Constitution requires of us. Nothing of that the sort happened. So we cannot deny the Butere girls or anybody in this country their constitutional right to the rights of due process, adequate notice, and fair trial, the right to be heard. They cannot be denied. And that's what I wanted to contribute. And with those few remarks, I may also be dropping out because I've got other things to do, including sleeping. And I wish the people, the remaining people on the panel, a
Yes,
good show.
we're just about to wind up, but we want to interrogate the issue of IBC. It would be also nice to hear your sentiments briefly. We'll be winding up soon. Professor Macharia, I yield the floor to you, Professor Macharia. You've been, of course, amazingly patient. Thank you for your patience. Before we also hear from Senator Ogenda, we wind up on this and then we go to briefly just the IBC issue. We'll be remiss if we don't talk about the 6 who are added. Professor Macharia, just give your sentiments of sobriety.
Thank you very much. It's been a very interesting discussion. In fact, it is very exciting that it is happening. People are talking, and you could see the young ask when they don't ask questions, that's when they get into trouble. And this issue, whether it's political or not, everything is politics. Even telling people not to be political, that's political, because a lot of things are decided in the political setup. So generally, I think the people in authority made mistakes. They overreacted, and how the play had gone through some stages, and to come in the last minute and then say cancel it or stop it or something like that. It looked arbitrary and not very wise to that extent. What it has done is to popularize Butere girls and Malala, and something that has been covered not just within Kenya but internationally. I think, as Herman was saying, then it was, and the court said, go ahead. It should have just been allowed to run its course, and there would not have been a lot of this happening. All it does is to remind people of the bad past when some things happened, that were not very encouraging, and that feel that people are being constrained, being forced into things that they should not be doing. So I think the authorities made a mistake in this regard. But it is very exciting that people are asking questions and not just taking things for granted simply because somebody said so. So those are my reflections on that particular aspect. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Appreciate it there. Senator Ojenda, we want to speak something as we're winding up on this particular beat. Just don't go away. Hang on. Okay, Mtata, hang on. It won't take long. Oh, yeah. Degwa had actually got lost in the shuffle. Joshua Kipto also got lost in the shuffle as well. Wherever you are, I also send the mic to you. Degwa, you wanted to respond? Then we'll come to our plenary as well. Briefly in Degwa. Briefly. I leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Dibal. Allow me to begin by disabusing the misconception and the misinformation that my landed senior Kaluma has put forth. The principle that he spoke about, the overriding objective of the child, is not applicable when you are seeking the application of the right to self-expression. It's only applicable when you are looking at the violation of the rights of a child, perhaps accommodation, education, maintenance, and all that. That is one thing. Number two, Malala's play is only one of the elements of things that are undertaking or taking place in our schools. One, our literature and our Fasihi syllabus has consistently exposed our learners to such kind of political environment. Those of us who read The Animals Farm, those of us who read the Shambala Wanyama, those who have read the Parliament of Oaths, they understand that the political satire is part and parcel of our children's learning. Number two, our children are part and parcel of this society. When they came out on the 25th of June last year, they came out in pursuit of their political philosophy. They came out in pursuit of the question of good governance, transparency, accountability, the rule of law, the participation of the people, the involvement of the people. Malala had not staged this play at that particular time. It is to be ignominious and ignorant to think that our students are not politically conscious. Our students are politically conscious. They are aware of their environment. They are aware of the kind of the government that they would wish to have. The unfortunate thing is that instead of our parliamentarians coming out to ask themselves, what is it that the young people want? Why are we having agitation? We are having politicians, members of parliament, led by my learned friend, Mr. Kaluma, and my learned friend, Senior Council Ojenda, who are apologetic to the establishment. This apologetic approach to the establishment is what is making them myopic, that they cannot even see that the police themselves were involved in violating the rights of our children. Let me ask you as I sum up, what was worse, to tear gas our children or to have them stage the play? So in my view, Debal, the intolerance and the excesses of this government, the inability of this government to accept and appreciate criticism and positive criticism is what is ailing this country. And because I may not have an opportunity to submit further on the issues of the IBC, permit me to indicate that the manner in which the selection panel is running the whole affair is dwindling and eroding public confidence. Members of the public are already feeling that this committee.
Hey, just a moment, and there go a point of order as well. I know it has been said, no point of order, but I think we're going off the rails. We're still winding up on the issue of, and I wanted just to give every speaker time.
I'm well guided.
Yeah, please, kindly. All right. Let me hear from you, Senator Ojenda. You've been a bit mealy mouthed as well, and then we'll gravitate briefly into the IBC issue and the 6 that came in with the collective amnesia briefly, and then almost
Uh,
as well.
Thank you,
And
Debal.
Dibal, just before Professor speaks, ask him why he's being apologetic to government.
Well,
Yeah,
in what sense? Yeah. Okay.
no,
Let's just
I
hear.
think
It's a police government.
I think my learned friend Degwa is confusing. He's thinking that we are in court, but we are in an ex forum. Now, I think I want to respond to a few things. The Herman Manyora has spoken to the political as opposed to the legal questions in this debate. At the outset, I had said that this debate, I set the pace for this debate on the pedestal of interpretation of Section 23 of the Basic Education Act 2013, Article 53 of the Constitution, Article 23, of course, Article 23 of the Constitution, and 53 on the rights of children. And those rights have been spoken to by Honorable Kaluma and Ndegwa advocate, and also by Martin Olo. And I just want to say, and of course, Professor Mashari has also spoken to some of those questions. I just want to say that, as Honorable Sosion rightly observed, the TSC Act is a normative derivative of the Constitution and was enacted to expound certain constitutional principles and to define rights. I am not supporting the manner in which the after, I would say, the manner in which the police handled students. That was wrong. That is a violation. You cannot throw tear gas into children. But I'm saying that it is wrong to politicize a theme that Senator Malala got into this play when he was not a teacher or is not a teacher is wrong. And so the law must be defined to ensure that the entire framework of crafting plays involves teachers and learners and not outsiders who then would impose a theme that is non-educational but political, purely political, to students, because we are hurting our children by politicizing learning or ensuring that the thematic issues or areas that inform our drama are issues that are outside the set parameters that are intended for those learners. I think that was my point. But I did not say that I am supporting the manner in which the students were handled. I would be questioning what Senator Malala was doing in school at about 3 a.m., whatever he was doing, I do not know. But clearly, in defense of CS Ongamba, who said that the parameters of how drama is done must be strictly in compliance with the Basic Education Act and the TSC Act, so that we do not have politicians running around students and misusing our students and violating the innocence of our students in violation of what Article 53 of the Constitution contemplates. And I think that is the point that Senator, that Honorable Kaluma spoke to. We must ensure that themes that students define drama, that we do not want to get, of course, it is wrong, Debal, for deliberate, it is wrong to politicize themes or to misuse children to achieve a political objective. Other adults can do that themselves, because you do not want to go around the Children's Act and violate rights of children. That is wrong. But again, I also said that this is important. This discussion is important because it has now allowed us, as Professor Macharia said, to discuss these issues openly and see whether there are also gaps in the law. And I'm glad that senators are here. Senator Manzo has said that there was already interpretation of these issues by the Honorable Court, and Judge Okwany had spoken to those issues, and that there ought to have been an appeal to the next court. I think those are the questions. Whether or not there was an appeal, I do not know, but that is why we are in this forum discussing these questions. But what is important is that we must warn children from politics, bad politics of the day. And Senator Manzo, while addressing a pure issue of drama, we are dealing with echoes of war. We are not making a political score at this point. Senator Manzo is talking about political change, which is not what we are discussing here. We're talking about the drama and what Senator Malala did, nothing more than that. And I think I want to stick to that point. I don't think that this is the forum for Senator Manzo to think that he can take over the forum. This is the wrong. Let us stick to the issue that we have here, the debate that we have here.
All right, thank you, Senior Counsel, Professor Senator Tom Ojenda will also get a rejoinder from Dan Mazo, and then we have Wilson Sosion. We wind up on it. We go to IBC briefly. Sosion, not you. Let's hear a rejoinder from you. Want to, of course, have a rebuttal, Daniel? That is Dan Mazo, Speaker. Speaker Daniel Manzo, right now. Can you hear me? Unmute if you're speaking, please. Kindly remember to unmute. Dan Mazo.
Yes, I can hear you. Dubai.
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Perfectly, continue.
Yes, I'm just saying that there is what you call a consequence of what happened. You know, we have seen an oppressive government. We have seen an unbearing government. We have seen a government which has no apology, even when it makes a mistake. And that we are saying, so long as the court had intervened and Malala was having a court order with him, then that should not have, it should not have seen all that what happened. This drama festival would have gone in quietly. Satire, is political satire. There's no one making political milestone or gain on this. It's only that the government itself mishandled it, and because it is scared of truth and the change. And the change is already here. What Professor Ojenda should know is that the young girls who are in, and all the other young people who are in Form 3 and Form 4, there will be adults in 2027 and they will vote. So we want to make sure that when the government makes mistakes, they should apologize for it, but not try to justify a mistake. The use of force, the use of live bullets on children, and even in that so-called village, I've heard Karuma say that no men should have gone there. There were also very many other boys' schools. And it was earlier in the day, people were just rehearsing and practicing. And I'm sure the teachers were fully in charge. So that should not be given the wrong impression. And I'm still insisting. What finally happened to Malala? The government followed him up. Even later on in entertainment joints. And when they heard that the people were not in their favor, they destroyed his vehicle. They should compensate him. If you allow me, Dibal, on this issue of IBC, because I can see we are running out of time.
We're coming to it.
Have people... Sorry?
We're coming to it right away.
Yes, I'm just saying. Just one thing, because I can see we cannot have people sneaked into a process. We must be told why were their names not in. And it will be more surprising if those 6 turn out to be the commissioners, not even one of them. So we need to know, we need to have the truth. And I'm sure, although Professor Martin Olo said he could be disappearing, I think he was avoiding this topic. Somebody must tell us what exactly happened, so that the nation moves with the selection panel. If there be sneaked in, then we are sorry. The selection panel has lost, its trust with the people of Kenya. I thank you, Dibal.
Indeed, critical questions are being raised, and I think you've set it as a segue now to our next topic. So, Sion, just wind up on it briefly so that we can move on swiftly to the other topic very briefly. I just give you a minute, sir, if you may indulge.
Yeah, Tibal, I will indeed be very brief. And I want to correct what Okia Mtata is trying to tell us, that Article 23 of TSC Act is vague. In fact, 23.2 reads very clearly, and I quote, "A person shall not engage in the teaching service unless such person is registered as a teacher under this act." So you must be registered. Extracurricular activities and classroom
Go
activities
and read,
are called.
the definition of teaching service
Yes,
in
I've
Article
read.
22. Read it out to
Listen,
the people.
listen.
Read it out
Now,
to the people.
implementation circular that came out on 13th of June 2018, and I can read word by word, circular to schools, which remains in force, is that in part 2, paragraph 2, it says, persons not registered as teachers, into bracket, including teachers whose names have been removed from the register of teachers, should not be incorporated in the school programs, including co-curriculum activities to teach, handle, manage, coach, supervise, and stroke or assist in the teaching, handling, managing, coach, supervision of pupils and learners. The law is clear, the circulars are clear. And the Board of Management, if you look at the show cause letter from the principal to the teacher, it is very clear the issue that the school and the Board of Management had with the script. And the board, it is important to know that the Board of Management themselves voluntarily withdrew the school from the festival. It was not the government, it was the Board of Management. So the inclusion of Malala, who is an outsider and who is a non-teacher, contravenes these circulars, contravenes the law, and this is what the school was trying to remedy. And I agree very strongly, it is not right to tear gas students. There are things we agree commonly, but facts of law remain facts of law. And Okia Umtata, however much you argue, even if you go to the North Pole and South Pole, the law remains as it is. Nobody is going to teach
I'm
unless
going
you are a
nowhere.
teacher.
I'm just giving you the text. Read section 2
Honorable
of the
Manzo,
act that it defines about teaching service.
cannot tell the country that Malala is a teacher. He has never been a teacher. He's not registered anyway. These are facts of law. So I think the whole of this mess around drama where students are weaponized contrary to the provision of Article 23 of the Constitution in political matter that is beyond their scope and understanding, and in terms of scripting, and of course, what the principal of the school was cautioning about as violation of drama festivals. You cannot change a script once it's adjudicated. So I think all these matters will be addressed administratively by government.
Thank you, Honorable Session.
But the facts remain facts. If you are not a teacher, you will never teach.
Thank you. Now you're challenged, Dan Manzo, to present the TSC number that Honorable Session was asking you. I think it would be good also for you to table that so that it could be a documentary evidence, so to speak. All right, Joshua Kipto, you got lost in the shuffle. I wondered where you went. You've been, of course, listening in. Could you just wind up this particular bit so that we can cross over now to IBC briefly? Joshua Kipto, I yield the floor to you. Kindly unmute if you're speaking. Joshua Kipto? You have challenges with the network. I think he's gone off the grid again. Joshua Kipto? All right. I think when he gets back, we'll continue with him. I'm calling upon you, Joshua Kipto 1. Kindly unmute if you're speaking. Right. I think we need to get into a very